The Bhagavad Gita is not just a scripture, but the divine voice of the Lord Himself. Its glory is so vast and profound that it is impossible for anyone to fully describe it, even if it were the Sheshnag, Lord Shiva, or Lord Ganesha themselves. Then what to say of an ordinary human being? This scripture, while mysterious, encapsulates the essence of the Vedas. Its knowledge is so profound and deep that even after reading and understanding it for a lifetime, it is difficult to reach its depths. The description of the Lord's form, qualities, mysteries, worship, actions, and knowledge found in the Gita is unparalleled and rare to find together in any other scripture. Every word of the Gita guides one's life, and nothing in it is written merely for entertainment or without purpose. It is the essence of all scriptures, and once understood, the fundamental principles of other scriptures also become clear. The Lord Himself says that He resides in the Gita, and its knowledge is the foundation of the entire creation. Anyone who follows the teachings of the Gita undoubtedly attains liberation. Not only that, but those who study it please the Lord through the sacrifice of knowledge. And those who convey the mysteries of the Gita to others receive the special affection of the Lord. The Gita is not just a religious scripture, but a complete philosophy of life. It inspires even those who have lost hope in life, filling them with new energy and optimism. This scripture teaches us how to live a righteous life and the true meaning of dharma, karma, and love. The Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters and 700 verses, which are not easy for everyone to read and understand. From my own experience, I can say that when you read the Bhagavad Gita daily, you will find something new in it every day, and the Lord Himself will make you capable of understanding it. When you read it, a new flow of energy will arise within you, which will gradually bring you complete peace. No one can disturb this peace because it is bestowed by the Lord Himself. Understanding the Gita can be a bit challenging, which is why in this special video, we will explain the meaning of each verse of every chapter in simple language, so that you can internalize its true message. So let us begin this divine journey of knowledge. The first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the Yoga of Arjuna's dejection. The first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita takes us to the initial scene of the Mahabharata war, where preparations for battle are in full swing on the sacred land of Kurukshetra. The story begins with Dhritarashtra's question. He asks Sanjaya what his sons and the sons of Pandu, who have gathered for war, are doing at this moment. Since Dhritarashtra was born blind, he could not see the war, but he was aware that Dharma was not on his side, because Dharma was where Lord Krishna stood. Due to his immense attachment to his sons, he chose the path of war over peace. But somewhere deep down, he also realized that winning this battle wouldn't be easy. In our lives too, when we make wrong decisions, we have an inner sense that the outcome will not be good. This same concern was in Dhritarashtra's mind. Duryodhana's confidence and military strength. Sanjaya, who possessed divine vision, could clearly see the events of the war. He tells Dhritarashtra that Duryodhana is observing the Pandava army on the battlefield and immediately goes to his teacher, Dronakarya. He tells the teacher to look at the Pandava army, which has been skillfully organized by their beloved disciple, Drishtadyumna. He begins to list the mighty warriors on the Pandava side, such as Bhima, Arjuna, Virata, Drupada, and Abhimanyu. On the other hand, he also describes his own army, which includes unparalleled warriors like Dronakarya, Bhishma Pitama, Karna, Kripa Acharya, Ashwatthama, and Vikarna. Duryodhana instructs his commanders to remain vigilant and especially to protect Bhishma Pitama. Thereafter, Bhishma Pitama, demonstrating his valor, blows his conch with a thunderous roar like that of a lion. Along with this, drums, trumpets, and conches begin to sound on the battlefield, making the atmosphere even more intense. On the other side, Lord Krishna and Arjuna also blow their conches, Krishna's conch, Panchajanya, Arjuna's Devadatta, and Bhima's Paundra, conch. Yudhishthira, Nakula Sahadeva, the king of Kashi, Satyaki, Draupadi's sons, and Abhimanyu, along with many other warriors, also blow their conches. The entire battlefield resonates with these sounds, filling the hearts of the Kauravas with fear. The atmosphere of war was fully set. But then Arjuna feels a deep dilemma in his mind. He requests Krishna to place his chariot between the two armies so that he can see whom he has to fight. Krishna, complying with his request, takes the chariot to the middle of the armies and shows Arjuna his family, teachers, and relatives. Seeing this scene, Arjuna's heart becomes heavy. He says, "O Krishna, I see no good in killing my own family, teachers, and relatives in this war. My body is trembling, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my mind is distressed. I do not desire victory, nor kingdom, nor pleasures. What is the use of these pleasures if those with whom I wish to enjoy them are no longer with me?" Arjuna further says that the destruction of the family will lead to the decline of dharma, and adharma will prevail. The corruption of women will lead to the birth of unwanted progeny, which will destroy the traditions of the family. He believes that the Kauravas, blinded by greed and attachment, cannot see this, but he himself wants to avoid this sin. Arjuna even says that if he is killed unarmed, it would still be better than killing his own kin in battle. Thus, grief-stricken Arjuna lays down his weapons and decides not to fight. He sits down in the back of the chariot, and here ends the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. This chapter teaches us that sometimes in life we face difficult decisions where it becomes hard to distinguish between right and wrong. Arjuna's dilemma reflects the struggles of our lives, and in the subsequent chapters, Lord Krishna will teach us how to overcome these struggles. Let us now move to the next chapter to understand what teachings Lord Krishna gives to Arjuna to resolve this dilemma. Everyone, say with me, Jai Shri Krishna, Chapter 2 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Sankhya Yoga. In the first chapter, we saw that when Arjuna saw his loved ones, teachers, and relatives on the battlefield, his heart was filled with compassion and attachment. Fear of the destruction of his family overwhelmed him, and he laid down his bow and arrows, refusing to fight. Now in this chapter, Lord Krishna will impart divine knowledge to Arjuna, the knowledge that makes the Bhagavad Gita the greatest scripture in the world. Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra, "O king, when Arjuna, overwhelmed with compassion and grief, withdrew from the battle, Lord Krishna, smiling, said to him, 'O Arjuna, how has this delusion overcome you at this time? This is neither befitting a noble warrior, nor does it lead to heaven or glory. Therefore, cast off this weakness and prepare to fight.' Arjuna replied, 'O Krishna, how can I shoot arrows at my revered teachers, Bhishma Pitama and Dronakarya? I would rather live by begging in this world than kill them. If we fight and kill them, the kingdom, wealth, and pleasures we gain will be tainted with blood. We do not even know whether we will win or they will. Therefore, O Madhava, please show me the right path, for I am your disciple and seek your guidance.' Sanjaya told Dhritarashtra, 'O king, after saying this, Arjuna fell silent, declaring, 'I will not fight.' Then Lord Krishna, standing in the middle of the battlefield, smiled and said to Arjuna, 'O Arjuna, You grieve for those who should not be grieved for. The wise do not mourn for the dead or the living. O Partha, there was never a time when I, you, or these kings did not exist, nor will there ever be a time when we cease to exist. Just as the soul passes through childhood, youth, and old age, so too does it pass into another body after death. The wise understand this truth and do not grieve. Heat and cold, pleasure and pain are temporary. They come and go. Therefore, O Arjuna, learn to endure them, for the one who remains equanimous in pleasure and pain is worthy of liberation. The body is perishable, but the soul is eternal. It cannot be cut by weapons, burned by fire, wet by water, or dried by wind. The soul is neither born, nor does it die. Therefore, O Arjuna, fight. If you think that the soul is born and dies, even then you should not grieve, for death is certain for the born, and rebirth is certain for the dead. Therefore, do not grieve. Lord Krishna then imparts the knowledge of Ashunks, Karma Yoga Shurs, to Arjuna. O Arjuna, your right is only to perform your duty, not to its fruits. Therefore, renounce attachment to the results and focus on your duty. Do not act out of desire for rewards, nor should you avoid action. The one who performs actions without attachment attains liberation. The one who is free from attachment and remains equanimous in pleasure and pain, gain and loss, is a true yogi. Arjuna asked, O Keshav, what are the characteristics of a person with a steady intellect? How does such a person walk, talk, and behave? Lord Krishna replied, O Arjuna, the one who renounces all desires and is content in the self alone is said to have a steady intellect. The one who remains equanimous in pleasure and pain, free from attachment, fear, and anger, is a true knower of wisdom. Just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs, the one who withdraws the senses from their objects is a person of steady intellect. The one who controls the senses is a true yogi. O Arjuna, desires are endless, and their fulfillment only leads to more desires. The one who conquers desires attains peace and happiness. Just as countless rivers flow into the ocean without disturbing its stillness, the one who remains undisturbed by the flow of desires attains supreme peace. O Partha, this is the path that leads to liberation from delusion. Even at the time of death, if one follows this path, one attains liberation. In this chapter, Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna the immortality of the soul and the path of Maikakeshu Nishkama Karma Yoga, selfless action. He explains that the one who performs duty without attachment to results attains true peace and liberation. This chapter teaches us, the soul is eternal, therefore we should not fear death. Pleasure and pain, gain and loss, heat and cold are temporary. They should be endured with equanimity. Performing one's duty without attachment to results is true karma yoga. Renouncing desires leads to peace of mind. Let us strive to adopt these divine teachings of Lord Krishna in our lives and walk the path of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Everyone say with me, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna, Chapter 3 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga. Chapter 3 begins with an important question from Arjuna. He asks Krishna, O Janardana, if you consider knowledge superior to action, then why are you urging me to fight? Arjuna says that the Lord's words are profound and multi-layered, which is further confusing his mind. Therefore, he seeks clear guidance from Krishna on which path is most suitable for him. Lord Krishna replies that in this world, there are two paths of devotion. Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, and Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action. In Jnana Yoga, a person controls the senses and meditates on the Supreme, which is called sannyasa, renunciation. In Karma Yoga, A person performs actions without attachment and without worrying about the results. Krishna says that no one can attain liberation without performing actions. Merely renouncing action does not make one perfect. Everyone is born to perform actions in some form or another. This is the law of nature. Who is a true karma yogi? The one who claims to have controlled the senses but secretly harbors desires for material pleasures is a hypocrite. But the one who controls the senses with the mind and performs actions selflessly is the true karma yogi. Krishna explains to Arjuna that performing one's duty as prescribed in the scriptures is the highest path. Life becomes meaningful only through action. Otherwise, it has no purpose. He tells Arjuna to consider the war as a yajna, sacrifice, just as a yajna is performed for the welfare of society and the world. Krishna explains that yajna sustains nature and the cycle of life. Yajna pleases the gods. The pleased gods bring rain. Rain produces food, and food sustains all living beings. The one who performs actions only for personal enjoyment and forgets God is like a thief. But the one who performs actions as an offering to God is freed from all sins. Java, the role of great souls in society. Krishna explains that great souls in society set an example for others to follow. If they show the right path, the entire society moves in the right direction. O Arjuna, see, I have no duty in this world, yet I perform actions, for if I do not act, the balance of the world will be disrupted. Ego and action. Ignorant people think that they are the doers of all actions, but the wise know that all actions are performed by the modes of nature. Rajasic people are busy displaying valor and bravery. Tamasic people are immersed in laziness and ignorance. But the wise understand that actions are performed by the modes of nature, not by the self. Desire, anger, and attachment, the greatest enemies. Arjuna asks why humans, despite their intentions, fall into sinful actions. Krishna replies that the cause is kama, desire, and krodha, anger, which arise from rajas and are the greatest enemies of humans. Krishna explains that just as smoke covers fire and dust covers a mirror, desires and attachments cover the knowledge of the self. Therefore, controlling these is true self-knowledge. Why control the senses? The senses are superior to the body. The mind is superior to the senses. The intellect is superior to the mind. And the soul is superior to the intellect. Therefore, Krishna advises Arjuna to control the senses, mind, and intellect, and destroy enemies like desire, anger, and greed through self-knowledge. At the end of this chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna to dedicate all actions to him and perform his duty selflessly. The one who follows this path without envy is freed from the bondage of karma and attains the Supreme. Thus concludes the third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. Everyone, say with me, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 4 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Karma, Sannyasa Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, action, and renunciation. Jai Shri Krishna. Friends, just as the saying goes, do good deeds and cast them into the river, the knowledge of karma teaches us to perform our duties without attachment to results and surrender them to God. In the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reveals the secrets of Iki, Jnana, knowledge, Karma, action, and Yi, Sannyasa, renunciation. Let us delve deeply into this profound chapter. Lord Krishna says, O Arjuna, I first taught this imperishable yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan. The sun taught it to his son Manu, and Manu passed it on to his son King Ikshvaku. Thus, this yoga was known to royal sages through tradition. However, over time, it was lost on earth. O Arjuna, you are my beloved devotee and friend. Hence, I now impart this eternal yoga to you, for it is the supreme secret. Arjuna's doubt. O Krishna, you were born recently while the sun god appeared at the dawn of creation. How can I believe that you taught this yoga to him in ancient times? Krishna's response. O Arjuna, you and I have taken many births, but you do not remember them. I, however, know all past, present, and future. Though I am unborn, imperishable, and the Lord of all beings, I manifest through my divine power, Yogamaya. Whenever dharma declines and adharma rises, I incarnate to protect the righteous, destroy the wicked, and re-establish dharma. My birth and actions are divine. Those who understand this truth transcend birth and death, attaining me. Devotees who surrender to me without fear, anger, or attachment attain liberation. I reciprocate with devotees according to their devotion. All paths ultimately lead to me. The nature and secret of karma. People desiring quick results worship celestial gods. I created the 4 varnas, classes, based on qualities and duties. Though I am the creator, I remain unattached to actions. O Arjuna, just as wise sages of the past acted without desire, follow their path to liberation. Even the wise are confused about what is action and inaction. Let me explain this secret. True knowledge. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is wise. The selfless yogi. Those who act without desire, whose deeds are burnt in the fire of knowledge, are liberated. The detached sage. Renouncing attachment to results, free from worldly bonds, and content in the self, such a person acts without acting. Control over senses. One who restrains the senses, remains unaffected by pleasure or pain, and is free from envy and ego is a true yogi. Sacrifice as worship. Whether you worship deities, Brahman, Shiva, Durga, or any form of God, perform every action as a sacred offering, yajna. The importance of sacrifice and self-discipline. Yogis who conquer desires through self-discipline offer their senses into the fire of knowledge. Fools, however, enslave themselves to sensory pleasures. Knowledge is the ultimate tool for mastering the mind and senses. Some perform yajna through wealth, others through penance, yoga, or self-study. Perform yajna according to your nature and faith. The nectar of knowledge. The nectar, amrita, left after yajna leads yogis to Brahman. Those who neglect yajna suffer here and hereafter. Knowledge alone purifies. Seek it humbly from enlightened sages. Even the greatest sinner crosses the ocean of samsara through the boat of wisdom. As blazing fire reduces wood to ashes, knowledge burns all karma, but the faithless, doubting, and ignorant perish. Krishna's final command. O Arjuna, slay the doubt in your heart with the sword of knowledge. Stand up and fight. Thus concludes the 4th chapter, Jnana Karma, Sannyasa Yoga. Everyone chant, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 5 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the Yoga of Renunciation of Action. Arjuna's question. O Lord, sometimes you praise sannyasa, renunciation, and sometimes nishkama karma, selfless action. Which path is better? Krishna's reply. Both lead to liberation, but nishkama karma is superior. A true renunciant hates none, desires nothing, and is free from duality. Fools see sannyasa and karma yoga as separate. The wise know they converge. Without selfless action, mere renunciation leads to misery. The karma yogi, focused on the divine, swiftly attains liberation. The essence of nishkama karma. Mastery over senses. The Karma Yogi controls the senses, fixes the mind on God, and acts without attachment. Detached action. I do nothing, only the senses act. Such a person works for universal welfare, untouched by sin, like water on a lotus leaf. Surrender to God. Offering all actions to God brings peace. Those craving results remain bound to rebirth, the soul's freedom. The soul in the body neither acts nor causes action. Established in the self, it enjoys bliss. God neither accepts sin nor virtue, but ignorance veils this truth. The light of knowledge. When ignorance is destroyed by wisdom, the soul shines like the sun. Surrendering mind and intellect to God liberates one from sin. A wise person sees equality in all: a Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, or an outcast. Free from duality, they escape birth and death. Equanimity. The steady-minded remain unmoved by joy or sorrow, free from delusion, and anchored in the self. The wise find bliss not in senses but in the soul. Victory over desire and anger. Sensory pleasures seem sweet, but end in pain. The wise avoid them. One who withstands lust and anger is a true yogi. Path to liberation. Renounce all desires, see God in everything, and meditate with focused mind and controlled breath. Realize God as the enjoyer of all sacrifices, Lord of worlds, and ocean of compassion. Such a yogi attains eternal peace. Thus concludes the 5th chapter, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Everyone chant, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 6 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, The Path of Self-Discipline, Dhyana Yoga. In this chapter, Lord Sri Krishna describes the glory of self-discipline and yoga. He explains the characteristics of a person established in yoga and the true meaning of yoga. Yoga refers to actions performed to attain the Supreme Lord. Sri Krishna states that the person who performs their duty without attachment to the results is the true renunciant, sannyasi, and yogi. Merely giving up fire rituals or abandoning actions does not make one a renunciant or yogi. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that what is called renunciation, sannyasa, is indeed yoga. Until a person gives up desires for sense pleasures, they cannot attain yoga, union with the Supreme. One who wishes to control the mind must perform their duties, and after attaining yoga, they must renounce all worldly desires to remain stable. When a person is free from worldly desires and does not act for physical pleasure or with expectations of results, they are considered established in yoga. One should strive to free the self from the bondage of birth and death and prevent the soul from falling into lower states. The mind can be both a friend and an enemy. If controlled, it becomes the best friend. But if uncontrolled, it acts as the greatest enemy. A person who has mastered their mind attains the Supreme Lord and becomes indifferent to heat and cold, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor. Such a person remains steady, controlling their senses and attaining full contentment through divine knowledge. One who has attained God sees clay, stone, and gold as equal and treats all beings with the same regard, whether friend or foe, benefactor or adversary, righteous or sinful. The process of practicing yoga. Sri Krishna explains that a yogi should choose a quiet place and sit on a pure surface, not too high or too low, covered with kusha grass, a cloth, and a deerskin. They should focus their mind, restrain their senses, and meditate for self-purification. Sitting steadily with an upright body, neck and head, fixing their gaze on the tip of the nose without distraction, remaining fearless, practicing celibacy, and keeping their mind calm, they should meditate upon the Supreme Lord. Through continuous practice, when the mind becomes fixed on the Supreme, The yogi transcends all worldly bondage and attains the ultimate abode. Sri Krishna says that a yogi should neither overeat nor starve, neither oversleep nor remain awake all night. One who follows a disciplined lifestyle remains steady in yoga and becomes free from all suffering. Attaining steadiness in yoga. When a yogi's mind is absorbed in the soul and merges into the Supreme Lord, they become free from all worldly desires and attain stability. Just as a lamp remains steady in a windless place, so does the yogi's mind remain fixed on the Lord. Through yoga, all mental disturbances are calmed, and the yogi experiences direct realization of the soul and supreme satisfaction. Having attained divine bliss, the yogi remains undisturbed and steadfast in their spiritual practice. After realizing God, the yogi considers no material pleasure superior. Even in the greatest distress, they remain unshaken, practicing yoga with firm determination. One should renounce all worldly desires, control the senses, and focus the mind entirely on God. The true practice of yoga is to withdraw the wandering mind and fix it steadily in the soul. A yogi who attains this state of stillness becomes free from all sins and attains supreme bliss. Such a yogi sees the same divine essence in all living beings and perceives everyone as residing in the Supreme Lord. They develop an equal vision toward all. Sri Krishna states that the yogi who sees me in all beings and all beings in me remains ever united with me, and I remain with them. One who worships me with unwavering devotion, seeing all beings as their own self, is the highest yogi. Arjuna's doubt. Arjuna asks, "O Krishna, the yoga that you have described, which leads to equanimity, seems difficult for me to achieve permanently. The mind is extremely restless, obstinate, and powerful. Controlling it seems as difficult as controlling the wind." Sri Krishna replies, "O Arjuna, indeed the mind is difficult to control, but with constant practice and detachment, it is possible. One who does not control the mind cannot attain the Supreme, but one who strives sincerely will surely reach the divine." Arjuna's next question. Arjuna asks, "O Krishna, what happens to a person who practices yoga with faith but later deviates from it? Does such a person lose both this world and the next?" Sri Krishna answers, "O Arjuna, such a person is never lost. One who fails in yoga is born in the celestial realms to enjoy the results of their past merits. Later, they take birth in a family of wise yogis, which is a very rare opportunity. There, they continue their spiritual practice from where they left off in their past life and eventually attain the Supreme. Due to past impressions, they are naturally inclined toward yoga and ultimately reach liberation. The greatest yogi Sri Krishna concludes, "A yogi is superior to an ascetic, superior to a scholar, and superior to those engaged in mere ritualistic action. Therefore, O Arjuna, become a yogi. Among all yogis, the one who worships me with unwavering faith and devotion is the highest and most exalted." Thus, the 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, which discusses the path of self-discipline, dhyana yoga, is concluded. Everyone say Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 7 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of Knowledge and Wisdom. In this chapter, Lord Sri Krishna tells Arjuna how he can understand complete knowledge and wisdom. Sri Krishna says that if Arjuna takes exclusive refuge in him and practices yoga with unwavering devotion, he will be able to know him fully without any doubt. Lord Sri Krishna further states that out of thousands of people, only one strives to attain him, and among them, very few truly come to know him. In this creation, There are two types of nature. One is apara, lower, inert nature, which includes earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and ego. And the other is para, higher, conscious nature, which is the soul itself. Lord Sri Krishna explains that these two natures are the causes of the creation and destruction of all beings in the world, and He Himself is the original source of everything. The Lord explains that the entire universe is bound to Him just as pearls are strung on a thread in a necklace. He is the taste in water, the light in the sun and moon, the sound in the sky, and manhood in men. He is the pure fragrance of the earth, the heat in fire, the life force in all beings, and the penance of ascetics. He is the eternal seed of all creatures, and both the knowledge of the wise and the brilliance of the brilliant originate from Him. Lord Sri Krishna states that this world is influenced by the three modes of nature: sattva, goodness; rajas, passion; and tamas, ignorance. But these qualities do not affect Him. Due to being deluded by these qualities, people fail to recognize Him. This divine illusion, Maya, is extremely powerful and difficult to overcome, but those who surrender to the Lord can transcend it. The Lord says that the impious, the foolish, and those with an atheistic disposition do not take refuge in Him. However, 4 types of devotees remember Him: the distressed, those desiring wealth, the inquisitive, and the wise. Among these, the wise devotee is the highest because he remains in exclusive devotion to the Lord and is extremely dear to Him. Lord Sri Krishna explains that people, driven by worldly desires, worship various deities. According to their faith, they receive results by His grace. However, such people are of limited intelligence because the results they obtain are temporary, whereas true devotees of the Lord ultimately attain His supreme abode. The Lord declares that He knows all past, present, and future beings, but no one truly knows Him. Due to delusion and duality, living beings take repeated births in this world. However, those who are virtuous and whose sins have been completely destroyed become established in His devotion and free themselves from this illusion. A person who knows the Lord as Adhibhuta, the controller of the entire creation; Adhidaiva, the regulator of the celestial beings; and Adhiyajna, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and remembers Him even at the time of death, attains His supreme abode. Thus, the 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of Knowledge and Wisdom, concludes. Everyone, say together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 8 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of the Imperishable Brahman. In this chapter, Arjuna asks Lord Sri Krishna 7 important questions. What is Brahman? What is Adhyatma? Spiritual knowledge. What is karma? Action. What is Adhibhuta? The material world. What is Adhidaiva? The divine manifestation. Who is Adhiyajna? The Lord of sacrifice. And how is He present in the body? Additionally, Arjuna seeks to understand how a yogi attains the supreme at the time of death. Lord Sri Krishna's answers: Brahman is the eternal, imperishable soul. Adhyatma refers to the inner spiritual essence of the soul. Karma is the destruction of desires that give rise to good and bad actions. Adhibhuta is the perishable material nature which is constantly changing. Adhidaiva is the cosmic form in which the sun, moon, and other celestial beings exist. Adhyajna is the Lord Himself, who resides in the heart of all beings as the indwelling witness and the ultimate enjoyer of all sacrifices. Attaining the Lord at the time of death. Sri Krishna explains that one who remembers Him at the final moment while leaving the body surely attains Him. a person attains the state that he constantly remembers throughout his life. Therefore, Arjuna should always remember the Lord while simultaneously performing his duty, fighting the war. A yogi who fixes his mind steadily on the Supreme and meditates on him attains the divine state. The Supreme Being is extremely subtle, omniscient, the controller of the universe, inconceivable, and as radiant as the sun. A yogi who leaves his body while controlling his life force, chanting the sacred syllable Om, and meditating on the Lord reaches his supreme abode. Liberation through renunciation and devotion. Sri Krishna explains that to attain the ultimate state described in the Vedas, one must practice celibacy and self-discipline. Through yoga practice, by controlling the mind and life force, one can realize the Lord. The eternal abode of the Lord. One who remembers Sri Krishna with exclusive devotion can easily attain him and never returns to the cycle of birth and death. The Lord's supreme abode is beyond all material realms, and those who reach it never take birth again. In contrast, all other worlds, including Brahmaloka, are subject to the cycle of birth and death. However, the great souls who attain the Lord are freed from this cycle forever. The cycle of Brahma's days and nights. Sri Krishna explains that those who understand the time cycles of Brahma's day, lasting 1,000 Chaturyugas, and Brahma's night, also 1,000 Chaturyugas, truly comprehend the nature of time. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living beings emerge from the unmanifest state, and at night they dissolve back into the same unmanifest form. However, beyond this unmanifest reality, there exists an eternal, imperishable Supreme Being, Parabrahman, who is never destroyed and whom those who attain never return from. The two paths at the time of death. The Lord describes two paths that a soul can take after death, the path of light and the path of darkness. A yogi who leaves the body during the bright path, through fire, daylight, the waxing moon, or the 6 months of the northern solstice, Uttarayana, attains liberation and never returns to the cycle of birth. A yogi who departs during the dark path, through smoke, nighttime, the waning moon, or the 6 months of the southern solstice, Dakshinayana, reaches the celestial worlds, enjoys the fruits of his karma, and then is reborn on earth. A true devotee, understanding these two paths, becomes free from delusion. Therefore, Arjuna should always remain devoted to the Lord. The yogi who follows the path of devotion ultimately surpasses the benefits gained through studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, austerities, and charity, and reaches Sri Krishna's supreme abode. Thus concludes the 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of the Imperishable Brahman. Everyone say together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 9 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of Royal Knowledge and Royal Secret. The most confidential knowledge Lord. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that he will now impart the most confidential, sacred and supreme knowledge, which will liberate him from this sorrowful world. This knowledge is the king of all sciences, and by experiencing it, one can directly perceive the Supreme Lord. However, those who lack faith cannot attain this wisdom and remain trapped in the cycle of birth and death. The omnipresence of the Lord. Sri Krishna explains that he is the cause of the entire universe, yet his divine power remains unseen. All living beings exist within him, but he is not confined within any of them. He sustains all beings, yet he remains unaffected by karma because he performs all actions without selfish motives. Just as the wind exists within space, all beings exist within the Lord. At the end of creation, all creatures dissolve into his divine nature, and by his will, they are created again. All living beings are under the influence of Maya, illusion, and follow the cosmic laws set by the Lord, undergoing birth and death according to their deeds. The ignorant and the wise. The ignorant consider Lord Krishna an ordinary human and fail to recognize his divine nature. Such people remain deluded by their incomplete knowledge and material desires. On the other hand, great souls, free from illusion, take refuge in the Lord, recognizing Him as the ultimate cause of all beings. These devotees continuously glorify Him and worship Him with deep devotion. Forms of worship and the all-pervasive nature of the Lord. Some wise people worship the Lord in various forms, while others see Him as the one ultimate reality. Sri Krishna reveals that He is the doer of all sacrifices, the knower of the Vedas, the ancestors' recipient of offerings, the sustainer in the form of medicinal herbs, the essence of sacred chants, and the fire into which offerings are made. He is both the father and mother of all creation, its nourisher, and its ultimate refuge. The Lord, as the sun, causes the evaporation of water and brings rain. He is both the eternal and the perishable, the real and the unreal. Those who perform Vedic rituals with the desire for heavenly pleasures attain higher realms. But after exhausting their punya, merit, they must return to the mortal world. Thus, those attached to material pleasures remain caught in the cycle of birth and death. The path of devotion and divine grace. Sri Krishna declares that whoever worships Him with undivided devotion, He personally ensures their well-being and protects them. Though other deities are worshipped, all offerings ultimately reach Him, yet such worship is incomplete because the worshippers fail to recognize His true nature. Based on their actions, souls attain different destinations. Worshippers of deities go to the celestial realms, worshippers of ancestors go to Pitraloka, and those who worship the Supreme Lord attain Him. The simplicity of pleasing the Lord. Sri Krishna explains that He lovingly accepts even a simple offering, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, if given with pure devotion. A devotee should dedicate all actions, eating, charity, sacrifices, and austerities, to the Lord. By doing so, one is freed from the bondage of karma and attains the Lord. The Lord's impartiality and the power of devotion. Sri Krishna declares that He is equally present in all beings and neither favors nor hates anyone. However, those who worship Him with sincere love reside in Him, and He in them. Even if a sinner sincerely turns to devotion, he is soon purified and attains supreme peace. Therefore, Arjuna should confidently declare that the Lord's devotee is never lost. Surrendering to the Lord, Sri Krishna states that regardless of one's birth, be it a woman, a merchant, a laborer, or even those born in sinful families, anyone who sincerely takes refuge in Him can attain the supreme destination. If even those born in unfortunate circumstances can be liberated, how much easier it is for righteous Brahmins and devoted royal sages. Hence, Arjuna should engage in unwavering devotion to the Lord, realizing that this world is temporary and full of suffering. The path of complete surrender. The Lord instructs Arjuna to fix his mind entirely upon Him, worship Him, bow to Him, and dedicate himself fully. By doing so, Arjuna will undoubtedly attain Him and be freed from all material bondage. Thus, the 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of Royal Knowledge and Royal Secret, concludes, wherein Lord Sri Krishna explains the significance of devotion, His divine nature, and the ultimate goal of the devotee. Everyone say together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Sri Krishna. Chapter 10 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Vibhuti Yoga, the Yoga of Divine Glories. Sri Bhagavan said, O mighty armed Arjuna, once again, listen to my supreme and powerful words, as you are extremely dear to me, and I speak for your benefit. Neither the gods nor the great sages know my divine opulence, for all the gods and sages have originated from me. He who realizes me as the eternal, birthless and beginningless Supreme Lord of all worlds becomes free from all sins and transcends delusion. O Arjuna, the intelligence that dispels doubts, the wisdom that liberates from delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control over the senses, steadiness of mind, the experience of joy and sorrow, the cause of birth and death, fear and fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, contentment, the power of penance, generosity, and both fame and infamy. All these qualities arise from me alone. The 7 great sages and the 4 Sanaka sages who preceded them were born from my divine power. One who truly understands this divine glory of mine becomes firmly established in unwavering devotion to me. There is no doubt that I am the origin and cause of all creation and its operation. The wise ones who understand this engage in my exclusive devotion. Those devotees who fix their minds on me, dedicate their entire lives to me, share my experiences with one another, and sing my divine glories find supreme bliss in me. To such devotees, I bestow the divine wisdom by which they attain me. Residing in their hearts, I destroy the darkness of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. Arjuna said, O Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, the Absolute Truth, the ultimate refuge, and the purest consciousness. You are eternal, divine, unborn, and the original cause of all gods. Even the sages Asita, Devala, Vyasa, and the divine sage Narada sing your glories, and now you are revealing your true nature to me. I fully accept your words as absolute truth. O Lord, neither the gods nor the demons can truly know your real nature. O Master of the universe, O Lord of all beings, only you fully know yourself, or the one whom you grant this knowledge can understand you. Therefore, please describe your divine glories in detail, so that I may always meditate upon you. Hearing about your transcendental nature and opulences never satisfies me. I wish to know more. Sri Bhagavan said, O best of the Kurus, now I shall describe to you my principal divine glories, for my manifestations are limitless. I am the origin of all creation. I am the soul residing in the hearts of all beings, and I am the cause of their birth, life and death. Among all luminous objects, I am the radiant sun, and among the stars, I am the moon. Among all winds, I am the Marichi. Among all water bodies, I am the ocean, and among water beings, I am Varuna. Among the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Among the Rudras, I am Shiva. Among the gods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. And among the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am Kubera. Among great sages, I am Brigu. Among divine sages, I am Narada. Among the perfected beings, I am Kapila Muni. And among poets, I am Shukracharya. Among the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Among sacrifices, I am Japa Yajna, the sacrifice of silent chanting. And among meters, I am the Gayatri meter. Among immovable mountains, I am the Himalayas. And among rivers, I am the Ganges. Among lions, I am the lion. Among birds, I am Garuda. Among elephants, I am Airavata. And among cows, I am Kamadhenu. Among bows, I am the Gandiva bow. Among warriors, I am Rama. Among those who calculate numbers, I am time. Among all branches of knowledge, I am the knowledge of the Absolute. And among debaters, I am the decisive truth. Among women, I am glory, beauty, sweet speech, memory, wisdom, patience, and forgiveness. Among months, I am Margashirsha. Among seasons, I am spring. Among conquerors, I am victory. Among truth speakers, I am truth. And among secret keepers, I am silence. I am the seed of all creation, as there is no living or non-living entity that can exist apart from me. O Arjuna, my divine opulences are endless. I have only described to you a few of my principal glories. Whatever is endowed with grandeur, power, and radiance, know that it has manifested from just a spark of my splendor. But, O Partha, there is no need for you to learn about all these divine glories in detail. Simply understand that with just a fraction of my being, I sustain the entire universe and exist everywhere. Thus, in the sacred discourse of Sri Krishna and Arjuna, which is part of the Upanishads, Brahma Vidya, and the Yoga Shastra, this concludes the 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, titled Vibhuti Yoga, the Yoga of Divine Glories. Everyone chant together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 11 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Vishvarupa Darshan Yoga, the Yoga of the Vision of the Universal Form. Arjuna's request to see the universal form. Arjuna said, O lotus-eyed Lord, by your grace, you have bestowed upon me the supreme confidential spiritual knowledge, which has dispelled my delusion. I have heard from you in detail about the creation and dissolution of the entire universe and your eternal divine glories. O Supreme Person, now I desire to see your majestic and divine form directly. If you consider me capable of beholding it, O Lord of Yoga, please reveal to me your indestructible universal form. Lord Krishna reveals his universal form. Sri Bhagavan said, O Partha, now behold my hundreds and thousands of divine forms, of various colors and shapes. O best of the Bharatas, in this body of mine, see the 12 sons of Aditi, the 8 Vasas, the 11 Rudras, the twin Ashwini Kumars, the 49 Maruts, and many other marvelous manifestations that have never been seen before. Within my body, you can behold the entire universe, both moving and non-moving, all in one place. However, you cannot see this divine form with your ordinary eyes. Therefore, I grant you divine vision so that you may witness my supreme yogic power. Sanjaya describes the universal form to Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the Lord of Yoga, Sri Krishna, displayed his supreme, divine, universal form to Arjuna. This form had countless faces, countless eyes, adorned with many wondrous divine ornaments, and armed with many celestial weapons. It was decorated with divine garlands and garments, anointed with celestial fragrances, and its radiance was immeasurable, pervading all directions. If thousands of suns were to rise in the sky at once, even their brilliance would pale in comparison to the splendor of this universal form. At that moment, Arjuna saw within the divine body of the Lord the entire universe spread out in every direction, along with all the gods. Witnessing this vision, Arjuna was filled with wonder. His hair stood on end, and overwhelmed with awe and fear, he bowed his head and folded his hands in reverence. Arjuna's praise of the universal form. Arjuna said, O Lord, in your body I see all the gods and various living beings, Lord Brahma seated on his lotus, Lord Shiva, all the sages, and the divine serpents. I see your countless faces, arms, eyes, and wondrous forms. Upon seeing your blazing, effulgent form, I cannot discern your beginning, middle, or end. O universal Lord, you are crowned, holding the mace and the discus, and your radiance illuminates all directions. The flames of your form are as scorching as the sun and fire. You are the supreme Brahman, the supreme soul, the eternal foundation of this universe. You are imperishable, the protector of eternal dharma, and the supreme being. Your glories are infinite, and you have countless arms. The sun and moon are your eyes, and from your mouth, the fire of destruction blazes forth. Seeing your terrifying form, all three worlds are trembling in fear. The terrifying vision of the universal form. Arjuna saw that all the gods were entering into the Lord's form. Some, frightened, were offering prayers with folded hands. The sages and perfected beings were chanting Vedic hymns, wishing for universal welfare. The gods, Vasus, Ashwini Kumars, Maruts, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Rakshasas and Siddhas all gazed upon the Lord in astonishment. O Lord, seeing your countless mouths, arms, legs, eyes, abdomens, and dreadful teeth, I am struck with terror. Your immense form, reaching the heavens and radiating various colors with its glowing eyes, is causing me great distress, making me lose my composure. O Vishnu, seeing your fiery, fearsome mouths, I have lost my sense of direction and find no peace. Please be merciful to me. I see all the sons of Dhritarashtra, their allied kings, Bhishma, Dronakarya, Karna, and even our own warriors rushing into your terrifying mouths. They are being crushed between your dreadful teeth. Just as rivers rush swiftly into the ocean, so too are these warriors rushing into your mouths. Just as moths rush toward a flame only to be destroyed, so are these warriors rushing toward their doom in your fiery mouths. O universal Lord, you are consuming all beings with your terrifying faces, and your blazing radiance is scorching the entire universe. Lord Krishna explains his power. Sri Bhagavan said, I am time, the great destroyer of the world. I have come to annihilate all these warriors. Even if you refuse to fight, they are all destined to perish. Therefore, O Arjuna, arise and fight. Gain glory, conquer your enemies, and enjoy the kingdom. These warriors have already been slain by me. You are merely an instrument in my divine plan. Arjuna seeks forgiveness and surrenders. Arjuna said, O Lord, it is only natural that the entire world rejoices in chanting your holy names, while those of demonic nature flee in fear. O great soul, why should the gods not bow to you? You are the original creator of Brahma himself. O infinite one, you are the wind, the god of death, fire, water, the moon, and Brahma. I bow to you again and again. O Supreme Lord, I have in ignorance addressed you casually as my friend. Please forgive me for any offenses I may have committed. O Lord of the universe, I surrender to you. Just as a father forgives his child, as a friend forgives another friend, or as a lover forgives the beloved, please forgive me for my mistakes. Lord Krishna returns to his four-armed form. Sri Bhagavan said, O Arjuna, being pleased with you, I have revealed to you this divine universal form, which no one has seen before. This vision cannot be attained by studying the Vedas, by austerities, by charity, by sacrifices, or by any other means. Now do not be afraid. Behold my gentle four-armed form once again. Arjuna praises the four-armed form. Arjuna said, O Janadana, seeing your beautiful human-like form, my mind is now at peace, and I have regained my composure. Sri Bhagavan said, O Arjuna, it is extremely rare to behold this four-armed form. Even the gods long for this vision. Only through exclusive devotion can one truly see me, know me in reality, and attain me. One who dedicates all actions to me, remains devoted to me, performs selfless actions, and maintains friendship toward all beings, surely attains me. Thus, in the sacred discourse of Sri Krishna and Arjuna, which is part of the Upanishads, Brahmavidya, and the Yoga Shastra, this concludes the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, titled Vishvarupa Darshan Yoga, the Yoga of the Vision of the Universal Form. Everyone chant together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 12 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Devotion. Arjuna's question to Lord Krishna. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna, "O Lord, some devotees worship you with unwavering devotion, surrendering themselves completely to your saguna, personal, manifest form, while others worship your nirguna, formless, unmanifest aspect through self-discipline. Among these, who is considered the superior yogi?" Lord Krishna's answer. Lord Krishna replied, "O Arjuna, those devotees who worship me with faith and devotion, fixing their minds upon my personal form and constantly engaging in my service, are considered the most perfect yogis by me. However, those who meditate upon my formless, attributeless, unchanging and all-pervading nature, beyond mind and intellect, can also attain me, provided they restrain their senses, remain equanimous in all circumstances, and dedicate themselves to the welfare of all beings. Yet the path of worshipping my formless aspect is extremely difficult. As long as the soul remains identified with the body, devotion to the unmanifest form is full of hardships. But those who dedicate all their actions to me, take refuge in me, and engage in my constant worship with exclusive devotion, such devotees I quickly deliver from the ocean of birth and death. O Arjuna, fix your mind upon me and surrender your intellect to me. By doing so, you will surely dwell in me. Have no doubt about this. If you cannot fix your mind upon me completely, then practice bhakti yoga, which will gradually develop your love for me. If you cannot even practice bhakti yoga, then try to perform all your actions for my sake. By doing so, you will attain perfection. And if you are unable to perform actions for me, then renounce all the fruits of your actions and work under the guidance of self-realized sages. Among different spiritual paths, practice without understanding is inferior to knowledge. Knowledge is superior to meditation, and meditation is superior to renouncing the fruits of actions. For by renouncing the fruits of actions, one quickly attains supreme peace. The qualities of a true devotee. A true devotee is one who does not harbor hatred towards anyone, maintains friendship and compassion for all living beings, is free from ego and possessiveness, remains equanimous in pleasure and pain, and is forgiving. Such a devotee remains firmly established in devotion to me. One who is always content, self-controlled, mentally resolute, with his mind and intellect dedicated to me. Such a devotee is dear to me. One who neither causes fear to others nor is afraid of anyone, who is free from anxiety, fear, joy and sorrow. That devotee is dear to me. One who is desireless, pure-hearted, indifferent to worldly suffering, and dedicates all his actions to me. That devotee is dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, neither regrets nor desires anything, who renounces the results of both auspicious and inauspicious actions. That devotee is dear to me. One who remains the same towards friends and enemies, honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and sorrow, and is free from attachment to worldly associations. That devotee is dear to me. One who is indifferent to both praise and criticism, who controls his senses, remains satisfied in all circumstances, and has no attachment to his place of residence. Such a devotee, with a steady intellect, remains firmly established in devotion and is extremely dear to me. But those devotees who, with utmost faith, take refuge in me and follow this nectar-like path of dharma, they are most dear to me. Thus, in the sacred conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, this concludes the 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, titled Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Devotion. Everyone, chant together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 13 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Kshetra Kshetrajna. Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the field and the knower of the field. Arjuna's question to Lord Krishna. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna, O Keshava, I wish to understand from you the difference between Prakriti, nature, and Purusha, the Supreme Being, the field, Kshetra, and the knower of the field, Kshetrajna, as well as knowledge and the goal of knowledge. Lord Krishna's explanation. Lord Krishna said, O son of Kunti, this body itself is called the field, Kshetra, meaning it is the place where actions take place. The one who knows this field is called the knower of the field, Kshetrajna, which refers to the soul. The wise have declared this as the absolute truth. O descendant of Bharata, know that I alone am the true knower of all fields that exist within various bodies. The understanding of both the body and its knower is true knowledge. This is my firm opinion. Now listen, this body is composed of the 5 great elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. It includes ego, intellect, the unmanifest Prakriti, the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, the 10 senses, ears, skin, eyes, tongue, nose, hands, feet, mouth, reproductive organ, the mind, the 5 objects of the senses, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, desire, aversion, pleasure and pain, consciousness, and determination. In this way, the body is subject to various modifications, and I have briefly described its nature. The characteristics of true knowledge. Now I shall explain what is meant by knowledge: being free from pride and arrogance, being devoid of ego, not causing harm to anyone, forgiving the faults of others, not concealing the truth, maintaining purity of mind and body, respecting and serving the Guru with faith, remaining firm in one's resolve, keeping the senses under control, staying detached from sense pleasures, not taking pride in one's existence, contemplating birth, death, old age, and disease, and seeking ways to transcend them, avoiding excessive attachment to children, spouse, and home, remaining equanimous in both favorable and unfavorable circumstances, desiring nothing except the realization of the Supreme, preferring solitude and dwelling in pure places, cultivating dispassion towards worldly pleasures, remaining steady in self-awareness, having an intense longing for self-realization and God-realization. The one who possesses these qualities is truly wise. Anything contrary to this is ignorance. The Supreme Reality, the goal of knowledge. Now I will describe the Supreme Reality, Paramatma, the object of knowledge, by knowing which one attains immortality. The Supreme Being is unborn, eternal, and beginningless. Though he doesn't perform actions, the entire universe is governed by him. He is omnipresent. His hands, feet, eyes, face, and ears extend in all directions. Though he is the source of all the senses, he himself remains beyond the senses. He is the basis of all qualities, but remains unaffected by them. He is subtler than the subtlest, and thus beyond the reach of the senses, yet he resides in the hearts of all beings. The Supreme Being remains equally present in all creatures. As Brahma, he creates. As Vishnu, he preserves. And as Rudra, he destroys. He is the source of all light, but remains beyond it. He is knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the goal of knowledge, and he is specially situated within everyone's heart. Thus, I have briefly described the field, body, the knower of the field, soul, and the Supreme Reality, Paramatma, that is worth knowing. Those who understand this attain my divine nature. The knowledge of Prakriti and Purusha. O Arjuna, both Prakriti, material nature, and Purusha, the Supreme Being, are beginningless. All modifications and changes arise from Prakriti, while Purusha is the cause of consciousness in all living beings. All actions are performed by Prakriti, but the soul, Purusha, is called the enjoyer of pleasure and pain. Depending on the qualities of Prakriti, the living being takes birth in either higher or lower forms of existence. The Supreme Being, as the eternal witness, pervades all bodies yet remains detached. The soul, although residing in the body, remains uninvolved in actions. One who understands this truth becomes liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Some attain the Supreme through meditation, some through Vedic rituals, and others through the path of selfless action, Karma Yoga. Some simply listen to the teachings of enlightened beings and engage in devotion, and they too attain liberation. O descendant of Bharata, everything in this world is produced from the union of the field, Prakriti, and the knower of the field, the conscious self. One who perceives the eternal soul in all bodies truly sees. One who recognizes the same Supreme Being in all living entities preserves their soul and ultimately attains my divine abode. One who understands that all actions are performed by Prakriti and that the soul is a non-doer truly sees. When one perceives the same divine presence in all beings, they attain the Supreme Being. This soul is eternal, beginningless, and beyond the gunas, modes of nature. Though residing in the body, it does not act and remains unaffected by any actions. Just as space remains untouched, despite being present everywhere, the soul also remains unaffected by the actions of the body. O Arjuna, just as the sun illuminates the entire universe, the soul illuminates the body with consciousness. One who sees the distinction between the body and its indwelling soul and understands the means to transcend material nature attains the supreme abode. Thus concludes the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, titled Kshetra Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the field and the knower of the field, which is a part of the sacred dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Everyone chant together, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 14. The Yoga of the Three Gunas, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. The creation of the universe by Prakriti and Purusha Sri Bhagavan said, O Arjuna, once again, I shall impart to you this supreme knowledge, which is the highest among all forms of wisdom. By attaining this knowledge, sages and ascetics have become free from worldly bondage and attained the ultimate perfection. Established in this knowledge, a person acquires divine qualities similar to mine. Such a being neither takes birth again at the beginning of creation, nor is disturbed at the time of dissolution. O descendant of Bharata, my material nature, Prakriti, which consists of 8 elements, earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and ego, serves as the cause of all created things. I, as the conscious Supreme Being, impregnate this nature with the seed of life, giving birth to all living entities, both moving and non-moving. All beings born in different species take birth because of material nature as the mother, while I am the seed-giving father of all. The 3 gunas and their effects. O mighty armed Arjuna, the 3 gunas, sattva, goodness, rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance, are born from material nature. These gunas bind the eternal soul to the body. Sattva, goodness. This guna is pure and illuminating. It frees the soul from sin and binds it through attachment to happiness and knowledge. Rajas, passion. This guna arises from desires and greed, binding the soul through attachment to actions and worldly pursuits. Tamas, ignorance. Born from darkness and delusion, this guna binds the soul through negligence, laziness, and excessive sleep. O Arjuna, sattva leads one to happiness, rajas leads to action and attachment, and tamas binds one to delusion and ignorance. When rajas and tamas are subdued, sattva dominates. When sattva and tamas are subdued, rajas prevails. When Rajas and Sattva are subdued, Tamas takes over. The consequences of the gunas, O Arjuna. When Sattva predominates, one experiences clarity, wisdom, and enlightenment. An increase in Rajas leads to greed, restlessness, excessive desires, and intense worldly attachments. An increase in Tamas results in ignorance, madness, confusion, laziness, and engagement in unrighteous acts. One who dies while in a state of Sattva attains the higher realms of the virtuous. One who dies in a Rajasic state takes birth again in the world of humans. One who dies under the influence of Tamas is born in lower species such as animals. The fruit of Sattvic actions is pure knowledge and happiness, while that of Rajasic actions is sorrow and suffering. The fruit of Tamasic actions is delusion and ignorance. A person established in Sattva attains celestial realms. One influenced by Rajas remains in the human world, and one under the grip of Tamas descends into lower worlds and hellish conditions. The characteristics of a gunatita, transcendental person. O Arjuna, one who realizes that all actions are performed by the gunas of nature and that the soul is merely a witness, transcends the gunas and attains my divine nature. A person who rises above the three gunas is freed from birth, death, old age, and all suffering. Such a person enjoys the nectar of eternal bliss. The behavior of a gunatita person. Arjuna asked, O Lord, how does one recognize a person who has transcended the three gunas? What is their behavior, and how can one go beyond these gunas? Sri Krishna replied, one who remains unaffected by the rise and fall of the three gunas, who neither desires nor resents their presence, one who remains equanimous in pleasure and pain, one who sees all materials, gold, stone, and earth, as equal, one who is neither attached nor disturbed by criticism or praise, one who treats both friend and foe alike, one who renounces the sense of doership in all actions. Such a person is called gunatita, one who has transcended the gunas. The path to transcendence. One who engages in my exclusive devotion quickly transcends the three gunas and attains the state of Brahman. O Arjuna, that imperishable Brahman is the ultimate nectar, eternal, filled with truth and bliss. I am the sole refuge of that Brahman. Thus ends the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. All shall chant, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 15. The Yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottama Yoga. The description of the cosmic tree. Sri Bhagavan said to Arjuna, this world is like an eternal, upside-down tree, with its roots above and branches spreading downward. The leaves of this tree are the sacred hymns of the Vedas, and one who understands this tree truly knows the essence of the scriptures. The branches of this cosmic tree expand due to the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, leading to various species and life forms. The buds of this tree represent the senses, and its roots extend downward, strengthening through attachment to actions. This cosmic tree's true nature cannot be perceived in this world, as it has no beginning, end, or stable existence. However, it can be cut down with the sharp weapon of detachment. After severing this tree, one should seek the Supreme Lord, from whom this entire creation emerges and expands. The qualities required to attain the Supreme Lord. One who is free from pride, delusion, and attachment to material desires. One who renounces association with worldly people. One who remains dedicated to the Supreme Lord. One whose desires are completely extinguished. One who remains beyond the dualities of pleasure and pain. Such a person, free from illusion, attains the imperishable Supreme Abode. The nature of the Supreme Abode. In that Supreme Abode, Neither the sun, the moon, nor fire provides illumination. Once reaching that divine realm, a soul never returns to this mortal world. That is my eternal abode, the nature of the soul, O Arjuna. Every living being in this world is a part of my eternal self. The soul, bound by material nature, carries the mind and senses from one body to another at the time of death, just as the wind carries fragrances from one place to another. When the soul enters a new body, it experiences the senses of sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell through the mind. However, the ignorant fail to understand this process, while the wise, whose knowledge is illumined, can perceive this truth. Only those engaged in yoga can perceive the self within, whereas those devoid of spiritual practice fail to see it, despite making efforts. The presence of the Supreme Lord in the universe. O Arjuna, the light of the sun, which illuminates the entire universe, as well as the light of the moon and fire, originates from me. I pervade the entire cosmos and sustain all living beings with my energy. As the moon, I nourish all plants and vegetation. I am the digestive fire in the stomach, helping in the digestion of all food. I dwell in the hearts of all beings, bestowing memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. I am the goal of all Vedas, their author and their knower, the ultimate supreme being, O Arjuna. There are two kinds of beings in this world: the perishable, Kshara. All material bodies are perishable. The imperishable, Akshara. The soul is eternal and indestructible. But beyond both is the Supreme Being, Purushottama, who pervades and sustains the entire universe. Since I, Sri Krishna, am superior to both the perishable and the imperishable, I am celebrated in the Vedas as the Supreme Person, Purushottama. The fruit of Purushottama Yoga. O Arjuna, one who realizes me as the Supreme Person becomes truly wise and engages in my devotional service. Thus ends the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Purushottama Yoga. All shall chant, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 16. The Yoga of the Division between the Divine and the Demonic, Deva Asura, Sampada Vibhaga Yoga. The Blessed Lord said, O Bharata, Arjuna, those who possess a divine nature have certain qualities. They have unwavering faith in the Supreme, a sense of self-purification, firm devotion to the knowledge of attaining God, and a spirit of surrender. They exercise self-restraint, perform their prescribed duties, strive for self-knowledge, and never hide the truth. They do not cause harm to anyone, maintain harmony between their thoughts and speech, control their anger, and stay away from deceit. Those with a divine nature can control the fickleness of the mind and never engage in slander. They show compassion to all beings, are free from greed, and do not get attached to sensory pleasures even when they are present before them. They possess gentleness, feel shame when making mistakes, and do not get disturbed by failure. They radiate divine brilliance, forgive offenses, and remain undisturbed in all situations. They maintain purity in body and mind, do not envy anyone, and do not seek honor or recognition. These divine qualities lead a person toward liberation. Now, O son of Pritha, I will tell you about the characteristics of a demonic nature. Those who are demonic do not know what should be done and what should not be done. They are neither outwardly nor inwardly pure. They do not follow proper conduct and stay away from truth. They believe that this world is false, has no foundation, and that there is no God. They think that the universe is merely born from the union of man and woman, with no purpose other than lust. Such individuals are devoid of self-knowledge and intelligence. They engage in destructive activities, harming society and the world. Their desires never end. They remain immersed in false prestige and arrogance. They adopt impure resolutions, entangled in infinite worries till the last moment of their lives, with their sole aim being sensory gratification. Bound by the ropes of endless desires, they are controlled by lust and anger, striving to accumulate wealth through unrighteous means. Demonic-minded people think, "Today I have earned this much wealth. I will earn even more. My wealth will continue to increase. I have defeated my enemies, and I will defeat more. I am the greatest, wealthiest, most powerful, and happiest. I come from a noble family, and there is no one like me. I will perform sacrifices, give charity, and enjoy life." Such individuals, being deluded, remain entangled in numerous anxieties, trapped in the net of illusion, and indulging in sensual pleasures, ultimately falling into a great impure hell. Thinking themselves to be supreme, they become intoxicated by wealth and false prestige, performing sacrifices only for show, without following scriptural rules. Controlled by false pride, arrogance, lust, and anger, they condemn me, the Supreme Lord, who resides in their own and others' bodies. Such envious, cruel, and wicked individuals are repeatedly forced to take birth in demonic wombs. O son of Kunti, those who are born into demonic families continue to be reborn in such lower existences and never attain the Supreme Lord. They fall into extremely degraded states of existence. One should understand that lust, anger, and greed, these three, are the gateways to ignorance and lead a person toward hell. Therefore, one must abandon them. A person who is free from these three and engages in righteous actions for self-welfare attains the Supreme Lord. However, one who disregards scriptural teachings and follows self-made paths can never attain perfection, happiness, or the ultimate goal of life. Therefore, O Arjuna, one should understand what is to be done and what is not to be done based on the scriptures. The scriptures alone are the ultimate authority for determining the righteous path, and one should act accordingly. Thus, in the sacred dialogue of Krishna and Arjuna in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 16th chapter, entitled "The Yoga of the Division Between the Divine and the Demonic," is completed. All shall say, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 17. The Yoga of Threefold Faith, Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. The types of faith. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna, "O Krishna, those who abandon the rules of the scriptures yet worship with faith, what is the nature of their faith? Is it sattvic, pure, rajasic, passionate, or tamasic, ignorant?" The blessed Lord replied, "O Bharata, every person's faith corresponds to their nature and is of three types: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. A person develops faith based on their acquired qualities. As their faith is, so they become. Sattvic individuals worship the deities. Rajasic individuals worship spirits and powerful beings. Tamasic individuals worship ghosts and lower entities. Those who perform harsh austerities contrary to the scriptures, driven by ego, attachment, and desires, not only torment their bodies, but also afflict me, who resides within them. Such deluded beings should be understood as having a demonic nature. Differences in food, sacrifice, austerity, and charity, based on one's nature. Types of food is also classified into three categories based on a person's nature. Sattvic food increases longevity, strength, health, happiness, and contentment. It is juicy, nourishing, pure, and pleasing to the mind. Rajasic food, extremely spicy, sour, salty, hot, and pungent. It causes suffering, sorrow, and disease. Tamasic food, stale, putrid, impure, and leftovers eaten by unclean people. Types of sacrifices, yajnas, Sattvic yajna, performed according to scriptural instructions, without any desire for reward, with a calm mind, and as a duty. Rajasic yajna, performed with the desire for personal gain, recognition, and fame. Tamasic yajna, conducted without following scriptural rules, without proper chanting of mantras, without faith, and without giving offerings. Types of austerity. Tapas. Physical austerity, respecting parents, teachers, and wise people, maintaining cleanliness, self-restraint, and not harming anyone. Austerity of speech, speaking truthfully, pleasantly, beneficially, and reciting sacred scriptures. Mental austerity, cultivating satisfaction, self-restraint, compassion for all beings, and self-discipline. Austerity is of three types. Sattvic austerity, performed selflessly with full faith. Rajasic austerity, practiced with the desire for honor, prestige, and recognition. Tamasic austerity, done with the intent to harm others or cause suffering. Types of charity. Dana, sattvic charity, given at the right place, time, and to a worthy person, without expecting anything in return. Rajasic charity, given with an expectation of something in return or without sincere faith. Tamasic charity, given at an improper time, place, or to an undeserving person, or given disrespectfully. Explanation of Om, Tat, and Sat. At the beginning of creation, the Supreme was divided into three sacred syllables: Om, Tat, and Sat. Om, used in Vedic chants and rituals to please the Supreme. Tat, used by those seeking liberation in selfless sacrifices, charity, and austerities. Sat represents truth and virtuous actions, bringing stability to sacrifices, austerities, and charity. The effect of actions without faith. O Arjuna, any sacrifice, austerity, or charity performed without faith is known as asat, inauspicious. Such actions bear no fruit in this life or the next. Hence, every action should be done with devotion and in accordance with the scriptures. Thus, in the sacred dialogue of Krishna and Arjuna in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 17th chapter, entitled The Yoga of Threefold Faith, is completed. All shall say, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna. Chapter 18 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the Yoga of Liberation through Renunciation. Arjuna speaks, O mighty armed Vasudeva, I wish to clearly understand the true essence of renunciation, sannyasa, and detachment, tyaga. Sri Krishna speaks. Some scholars define renunciation as the abandonment of all actions that seek worldly rewards, such as wealth, progeny, or relief from suffering. Others say that renunciation means only giving up attachment to the fruits of one's actions. Some wise men argue that all actions are flawed, and thus should be completely renounced, while others say that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. O Arjuna, there is a difference between renunciation, sannyasa, and detachment, tyaga. First, I will explain tyaga because it is of three types: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Just as sacrifices and penance are classified into three categories, so is renunciation. Sri Krishna declares that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned, for they are essential duties. A wise person who performs these actions without attachment to results becomes purified. Therefore, Arjuna, do not abandon your duties. Instead, perform them without attachment and without desire for rewards. This is my supreme opinion. Three types of renunciation. 1. Tamasic renunciation. A person who abandons his rightful duties due to delusion is called a tamasic renunciant. 2nd, Rajasic renunciation. A person who renounces his duties out of fear of physical pain or hardship does not attain the fruits of renunciation. 3. Sattvic renunciation. A person who performs his duty simply because it is his dharma, without attachment to the rewards, is a true sattvic renunciant. Who is a true renunciant? A person who does not hate unproductive work, nor becomes attached to productive work, is a true renunciant. Those who do not renounce the fruits of action must face three consequences: good, bad, and mixed results. But those who completely surrender the fruits of action are freed from all karmic bondage. The 5 factors of action. Sri Krishna states that every action has 5 causes. 1. Adhisthana, the base, the physical body, which is the medium of action. 2nd Karta, the doer, the mind and intellect of the individual. 3rd Karana, instruments, the senses and tools required to perform the action. 4. Prayatna, effort, the different types of exertion involved in action. 5. Daiva, divine will, the past karma and divine influence. An ignorant person who does not understand these 5 causes but believes that the soul alone is the doer is living in illusion. In reality, the soul is pure, unaffected, and non-doer. Types of actions. 1. Sattvic action. Actions performed without attachment, without hatred, and with a sense of duty. 2nd Rajasic action. Actions performed out of greed, ego, and desire for pleasure. 3rd Tamasic action. Actions performed in ignorance, stubbornness, and violence. Types of doers. 1. Sattvic doer, free from ego, enthusiastic, patient, and determined. 2nd Rajasic doer, greedy, arrogant, cruel, and restless. 3rd Tamasic doer, lazy, deceitful, arrogant, and indecisive. Path to liberation. Through devotion to the Supreme, Sri Krishna declares that the Supreme Being is the source of all creation, and serving Him through one's natural duty leads to liberation. O Arjuna, even a flawed personal duty, swadharma, is superior to another's perfect duty, paradharma. Performing one's own duty protects a person from sin. Therefore, do not abandon your duty, as all actions carry some imperfection, just as fire is always accompanied by smoke. A person who attains self-restraint, detachment, humility, continuous meditation, and unwavering devotion becomes free from the cycle of birth and death and attains eternal peace. Complete surrender to God. Sri Krishna says, O Arjuna, abandon all forms of dharma and completely surrender unto me alone. I will free you from all sins. Therefore, do not grieve. The importance of spreading the teachings of the Gita. Sri Krishna instructs, this sacred knowledge of the Gita should never be shared with those who lack austerity, devotion, or the desire to listen. Those who share this wisdom with faith and devotion will surely attain me. Those who hear this without doubt or negativity will be freed from all sins and attain the supreme abode. Arjuna's realization. Upon hearing Sri Krishna's divine words, Arjuna declares, O Achyuta, my illusion is now destroyed, and I have regained my memory. I am now free of doubt, firm in my resolve, and ready to obey your command. Sanjaya's conclusion. Sanjaya, the narrator of the Mahabharata, says, hearing this wondrous conversation, my heart is filled with joy. Recalling the divine teachings of Lord Krishna, I rejoice again and again. O King, wherever there is Lord Krishna, the master of yoga, and Arjuna, the great warrior, there will always be victory, prosperity, and eternal righteousness. Thus, in the sacred Upanishads, which contain the essence of Brahma Vidya and the science of yoga, the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, titled Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the yoga of liberation through renunciation, is now complete. If you found this divine knowledge inspiring, write Jai Shri Radhe Krishna in the comments and subscribe to our channel. Jai Shri Radhe Krishna.